Hey folks, I'm Melhorn. Come along with us on this trip as my son and I go load the bait tank with some bluegill. Alright folks, on the morning of this trip, my son Grayson and I are going out to catch some bluegill. That night, I had a guide trip that was going on, and we were going out chasing some flatheads. So I needed to fill the bait tank with some bluegill so that we could try to put some flatheads in the boat on live bait.
Pull up here. Let me tie one on there. Don't put it in the tree. Fish on. Did I put him around the motor? Could be. Number one. Numero uno. Yeah, right. I'm here putting a school on Grayson. Another one. All we're using, guys, is just some red worms. A little bitty piece of red worm. That's a number 8 Gamakatsu circle hook, believe it or not. And a bobber. I don't know, it's 18 inches below, and I just got it tied straight onto the line here. This is one of my crappie rods. Grayson just threw it into the tree.
And got it out. Look at me, I am a professional.
Remember, sidearm it in there. Grayson, you gonna catch one, son?
Now my strategy for catching bluegill is pretty simple. It's a bobber, a small hook. In this case, it's a number 8 Gamakatsu octopus circle hook. Yes, folks, a circle hook. I use them to catch bluegill too. And a little piece of red worm.
Get him out of that tree. There you go. I'll show you how it's done right here. See how this is done right here?
Yeah.
See, that's what he looks like. That's the fish he just lost right there. See what he looks like? Hang on, you want to get a good look real quick before we, there he is right there. Let's see him right there. Gotta talk a little smack to him. He's gotten too good as a fisherman now. I don't have to baby him anymore. He usually catches more fish. He just ain't got his mojo on yet this morning. Oh wait, you just left him there. He was right there.
Oh crap.
He's right there. See? We left him alone. Oh. School time. Boom.
Yeah, there's some days when I do this where I ask myself, why'd I even say yes to going to catch bait?
I did get Grayson up or he got up this morning. We came out last night and we got stormed off the lake. We had storms after storm after storm, so we didn't get to fish. We both actually woke up kind of early this morning, and I said, let's go catch some bait for this trip tonight. And he said, yeah, because he knows that bait trips are usually down and dirty, quick and easy, and we'll get back to the hizzy.
Now folks, you can vary your setup and your bait to do this depending on where you're at. I use red worms because they're readily available at the bait and tackle store across the street from my house. Crickets also work good. There's a lot of stuff that you can put on there. Any little insect or bug that you can catch would work great. So don't get too hung up on the bait. A lot of different stuff will work.
Boom, you got him. There you go. Flip him over here. I'll get him. Just flip him this way and get him in the well easier than you can. There you go. Ah, he got that limb. Still got him. Still got him out of the tree. I'll tell you, some mornings like this when you can get on some fish and catch them, it's on. We had a difficult time in the springtime catching fish, bluegill, little bitty pieces of bait, and you may too. And we're a little bit lucky. We're fishing out of a boat. We can run up and down the bank. I know some of you guys fishing on the bank. It's a little more difficult. Boom, got another one. Biggest thing on the bank is you end up scaring fish off a lot of times. You have to ideally be casting up and down the bank when you're bank fishing.
Now what we're doing is fishing from a boat. We're on a boat casting up toward the bank. If you notice, we are throwing up very shallow. So you guys that are bank fishing, pay attention to this, because in the summertime when this was filmed, this was in July, a lot of those fish are within 5-6 feet of the bank, depending on how steep it is. In this case, it was about 2 to 3 feet of water seemed to be the depth they were holding at, and they were around brush and debris that was in the water. So if you're on the bank trying to hit these suckers and hit a bait in front of them, just remember, you may spook them. So be very careful in your movements moving up and down the bank, because they're used to being hunted from above. They're used to being pecked out of the water by egrets and herons and all kinds of other water birds. So just remember, they're looking for predators from up above. So make sure you're very cautious. And what that means is you may have to be casting up and down the bank to catch these things.
Once you get your casting mojo, you're a little bit out of shape on casting. Here, hand him here. I'll just flip him to me. I can get him in the tank easy. Perfect. It's like working a mate on a boat. Grayson's got the same little setup. Okay. We're gonna try to get us a couple dozen. I should get it. I had a few in the boat already, had some perch. I've got a few that died on me last night. I got them on ice. So you got a couple dozen this time of the year. Our bite has not been on fire for catfish. So we're kind of post-spawn a little bit here.
Right by the spawn. I literally stopped the bait and I got hit.
Got it? Perfect. But yeah, if you've got couple dozen, usually pretty good. We put about half out cut, half out live, and see what happens.
Now, I keep bluegill in a bait tank at home. I've got a 125-gallon tank that I can keep them in. Now, granted, in the summertime, higher water temperatures, their metabolism is higher. They do need food if you're not burning through them quickly, or they will die. They're also subject to more disease and fungus and stuff in the summertime. So generally speaking, I try to use them pretty quickly. If you can keep your water cooled down, that's very important. My bait tank is in the shade. It's underneath a carport, so it's out of the sunlight. Keeping that temperature down as low as possible will help you keep these baits alive at home.
We actually did catch one of my guide trips the other night. A client caught a 35-pound flathead on a live bait. It was a live perch. The big blue of the night, the fish, came on a piece of cut bait though. Ironically, 48-pound fish on a little bitty piece of bait, which nothing surprises me. Nothing surprises me. We may just go big and go home tonight. We'll see. We'll see what we're in the mood for. See if we can get some water. We've got a bunch of bait already. Another one. Hey, ow. And guys, if you're fishing, now we're catching these things like crazy here. So, what I was going to tell you was, I don't let these baits sit anywhere long. I cast them into a place, and if there's not a fish there and it's not hitting, I'm reeling it up and moving. So.
Now, folks, make sure you check your local laws, because not everywhere can you use bluegill for catfish bait. There are some states that do not allow the use of these fish for catfish bait, so make sure you check your local laws. Here in the Carolinas, we can use them as long as we catch them on rod and reel. We cannot catch them in a cast net, so we have to go out fishing for them like you see here with a rod, reel, and some kind of bait.
It's they're either there or they're not, and right now they're feeding pretty good. It's overcast, boat wake's not crazy yet, so we're able to whack some. Yeah, this reel's got to be trash.
You missed that tree? How in the world did you miss it?
Stopped it right at the last minute. Here's the skill right here. Oh, son, if I get that fish in and it's wrapped around the eye, that's gonna be crazy. If I get this fish in, do I get catch of the day, Grayson?
Yes.
Do I get catch of the day?
That's a catch of the day and a half.
I snapped this thing short from going in a tree. then hooked the fish, but it was laid on the other side of the limb, so I snatched it into the air, and it went flying about 7 feet over the limb, landed in the water, somehow stayed hooked up. That speaks to the hooking capabilities of the number 8 Gamakatsu octopus circle hook when it comes to catching bluegill. People laugh at me for using circle hooks for bluegill, but it worked right there. And they catch fish, it actually makes hooking up on them pretty easy, especially if you're sitting here trying to manage the boat and everything else. You can, as long as your line's tight and you get that hook snapped up in their mouth, you're in good shape.
Another tip, folks, is check your creel limits. Some places are more liberal than others in how many you can have. And the last thing you want to do is have a bait bucket and have a local game warden come up and check it and you've got too many. Here in the Carolinas, they're very liberal limits, but when you get to catching these things and throwing them into a tank, if you've got a 15 or 20 limit, you can rack them up pretty quick. So make sure you check your laws and make sure you're doing it legally.
Boom, got another. There's some, look, Grayson, there's some off the end of that limb right there, kind of in some open water. I don't know if they're in there nesting. That's a good one there. That's a good bait.
Remember that pond over at the hunt club?
Yeah, there's one.
That's a good one.
That is a good one. That's a good bluegill bait there. All right, we need one more. One more.
Tiny one.
Bang, number 2. Finally, we got a pile of them.
Now, folks, we're catching these in the summertime. They're up shallower. You can catch bluegill in colder temperatures. The problem is they generally move deeper, so you will have to be using some slip bobber techniques to get them, and generally they're locked in around brush and brush piles when that happens. So it's a little more difficult. It's why I consider bluegill to be a great summertime bait, not only because the fish like feeding on them, but because they're easy to catch. Well, folks, if you made it this far, thank you for watching. Here are a couple more videos that I think you're gonna like. I'd watch that one and then that one. No, do that one first and then that one. I don't know, just watch them both. They're both good.